1.4 billion naira foreign loan scandal. Cross River State Auditor General's rebuttal opens more loopholes by Ekemini Simon, the Mail newspaper. The Auditor General of Cross River State Government has said that the government of Cross River State did not procure any foreign loan in 2020, contrary to the report by the Mail newspaper. An extensive investigation which lasted for 8 months and was published last month revealed that the government of Cross River State procured an unapproved foreign loan of 1.4 billion naira for AFDCRA's National Program for Food Security in the 2020 fiscal year, even as the state government could not account for how the loan was used. The Office of the Auditor General of Cross River State and the Ministry of Agriculture refused to give clarification on the loan when they were contacted. The Ministry for International Development Cooperation could not also give an explanation about the loan. However, in reaction to our reports, the Auditor General of Cross River State, Mr. John Ode, on Monday, June 6, 2022, issued a press statement where he noted that the said loan is a result of exchange rate variation occasioned by a loan procured in 2013 but captured in 2020 as additional loan owing to the reporting template of the State Accountant General. He said the loan facility originated on the 16th of August 2013, valued at FUA 7 million. As of 31st December 2019, the loan, which was valued by the Debt Management Office Abuja at 2,337,668,298 naira .00 kobo, increased to 3,719,797,550 naira .00 kobo as of 31st December 2020. The difference of 1,382,129,252 naira .00 kobo is as a result of the exchange rate variations which impacted on the principal loan amount. This effect culminated in the total amount of 3,719,797,550 naira .00 kobo as of 31st December 2020. The exchange variance of 1,382,122,252 naira .00 kobo, being a liability to TRSG, was thus rightly captured in the 2020 financial statement as an additional loan due to the reporting template of the State Accountant General. However, analysis of Ode's claim vis-a-vis the financial documents of the state opens more loopholes. Ode shoots self on the foot. Contrary to the Auditor General's rebuttal, the Auditor General in his published report submitted to the Cross River State House of Assembly on July 15, 2021, queried the procurement of the 1.4 billion naira external loan, noting that it was not budgeted for. He stated, the Accountant General's published statement indicated that Cross River State Government obtained the sum of 1,382,122,252 naira .00 kobo as external loan for the period under review, whereas there was no budgetary provision for it. What is more, 2 months after sending its report to the House of Assembly on September 28, 2021, the Office of the Auditor General published Citizens Accountability Report, wherein he noted among the top 10 queries from his office that the state executive obtained 1.4 billion naira external loan when there was no budgetary provision made for the loan. We had earlier in the investigative report noted that when the Mail newspaper contacted the Auditor General for comment on his query about the loan, he declined to comment. I don't talk to journalists about the account of the state, he said. Besides, the Auditor General's claim that the loan recorded for the year is a result of the exchange rate variations, which impacted the principal loan amount, leaves more gaps. A year earlier, when the external debt stock of the state rose to 94 billion naira from 47.26 billion naira in 2018. Neither the Accountant General nor the Auditor General recorded a fresh loan for the fiscal year. Rather, the Auditor General in his 2019 report stated, the Accountant General's published statement indicated that Cross River State Government did not obtain any external loan for the period under review, but records made available by the Debt Management Department of the Governor's Office show that the outstanding external debt stock of the state as at 31st December 2019 stood at 94 billion 82 million 206,676 naira. Financial documents of Cross River State records 1.4 billion naira loan as revenue. Although the Auditor General's rebuttal notes that the 1.4 billion naira external loan is a liability to Cross River State from the 2013 transaction, the Accountant General's report, the Auditor General's report, and Citizens Accountability Report prepared by the Office of the Auditor General for the fiscal year records the loan as revenue received for 2020 under the revenue subhead of Capital Development Fund. Analysis of the report by the Accountant General, which was more elaborate, shows that the loan was among the funds that made up the 50.66 billion naira the state got as Capital Development Fund. The breakdown shows that the state got 10.4 billion naira as opening balance, 18 billion naira as a transfer from Consolidated Revenue Fund, 12.78 billion naira from aid and grants, 1.4 billion naira from external loan, and 8.6 billion naira from internal loan. The report from the Accountant General further showed that the state made a total capital expenditure of 49.86 billion naira for the year, leaving a closing balance of 802.66 million naira. The above financial report of the Accountant General leaves more questions as to where the state got funds to finance its capital expenditure, leaving a balance of 802.66 million naira if the 1.4 billion naira was not included among the 50.66 billion naira revenue received for the year as claimed by the Auditor General. IPSAS accounting system knocks off claims. The Auditor General in his rebuttal noted that the reporting template of the State Accountant General was the reason a loan procured in 2013 was captured in 2020. Yet, this claim by the Auditor General has been found to be misleading. According to the Accountant General's report of 2020, Cross River State is using the International Public Sector Accounting Standard as its reporting template under the heading IPSAS Cash Basis of Accounting. The Accountant General in his report notes that this basis of accounting provides readers with information about the sources of cash for the state. The report states, the IPSAS cash basis of accounting recognizes transactions and events only when cash, including cash equivalent, is received or paid by the MDAs. These provisions point to the fact that the state must have received the said amount during the fiscal year, hence the reason the transaction was recognized in the accounting books of Cross River State for 2020. The report further adds, General Purpose Financial Statement prepared under the IPSAS cash basis provide readers with information about the sources of cash raised during the period, the purposes for which cash was used, and the cash balances at the reporting dates. Analysis of both reports by the Auditor General and Accountant General did not reflect the claims the Auditor General gave in his rebuttal, thus raising concerns that if the version of his explanation as contained in his rebuttal were factual, then the clarification should have been considered in their report. Again, Auditor General and Accountant General failed to clarify loopholes in rebuttal. Meanwhile, neither the Auditor General of Cross River State, Mr. John Ode, nor the Accountant General, Mr. Joseph Adie, gave an explanation for the loopholes identified in the Auditor General's refutation when the Mail newspaper made attempts to reach them after the rejoinder. Adie did not respond to calls, texts, and WhatsApp messages. The Mail newspaper specifically asked him why the loan was recorded as revenue for the fiscal year in his report, and if it was actually a transaction undertaken as a liability in 2013. Also, Ode did not respond to calls put across to him. He, however, in a reply to a text message from the Mail newspaper, insisted a reporter should visit his office if there are issues that must be clarified. Please visit the State Auditor General's office if you have issues, he said. The Mail newspaper, which did not see the visit at this time to the office as expedient, requested the information to be passed through phone or mail. This was not obliged at the time of filing this report. The newspaper had requested information on the reason the Auditor General had earlier queried the loan in his report, but now contradicts that same report. The Mail also asked for his reaction on why the loan was reported as part of the revenue the state received for the 2020 fiscal year, whereas in his counter-argument, he described it as a liability that stemmed from a 2013 transaction. Other requests for information to Ode was the reason this said exchange rate variation was not raised in preceding years, but only in 2020. Why the new information contained in his rejoinder was not included in the report from the two offices and references on other liabilities transferred as revenue to the fiscal year. Rejoinder and afterthought, product of compromise, CSO insists. A civil society coalition, Niger Delta Open Government Observatory, had described the refutation by the Auditor General of Cross River State as an afterthought and the product of compromise. In an interview with the Mail newspaper, the moderator of the coalition, DJ Bolton Akpan, noted that for the Auditor General to defend what he called illegality and a violation of the rules of public finance management, it is glaring that the Auditor General's audit function has become badly compromised. He said, the Auditor General's rebuttal is evidently an afterthought. In any case, it is not his place to make those explanations. The Office of the State Auditor General is an accountability ombudsman that ought not to be drawn into every transactional debate such as this. It was the place of the Accountant General of the state to make the needed explanations. How can an accountability watchdog rush to eat his own words? What happens to the power of the Auditor General's next due report, which ought to be submitted to the House Public Accounts Committee? What we see here is a case of an audit function that has become so badly compromised that it deems it necessary to defend what is clearly an illegality and the violation of the rules of public finance management. This follow-up investigation is supported by policy alerts. This is the voice of Sylvia Akpan.